our next guest is the royal editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, great to have you back. Look, new king, new chapter. Since taking to the throne, Charles has changed a few things, including doing a bit of a clear out. Apparently some of the staff aren't too pleased, are they?
No, great to see you again, Caroline. Well, no, I suppose, like you say, new king, new chapter, new reign. And what does that mean? That means, a sort of amalgamation of some of the households. But it seems that there has been a bit of a clear out, and that is in terms of staffing. And this was rumoured when there was going to be a change of reign. Of course, all the staff couldn't go straight over to Buckingham Palace. They're run very, very differently. And, you had three households sort of coming into two. Now just Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. No need for all the staff over from Clarence House as well. But I think it was a bit of the manner of how it was done. Some redundancy notices just being sent out days after the late Queen passed away. And that left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth of some of the staff, but certainly a much more slimmed down monarchy and a slimmed down version of the staffing to go with it.
Yeah, and I suppose, perhaps the how could have been done better, but I think overall it is fair enough. And like you said, we are looking at a slimmed down monarchy, and I think this reflects that modernised royal family, doesn't it?
Well, it does. There's going to be a transitional period, and we are living in it right away. I was in a meeting about the sort of royal accounts during the week, and they're talking a lot about this period of transition. And it's not only that period just for the King, the Queen, the new Prince and Princess of Wales, but obviously the way that the households are run and the way that the country and the Commonwealth need to get used to this new reign. What will it mean not only for the people who are living in it, not only the King and Queen, the royals, but the staff as well. And I suppose it's a year of first, isn't it? And everybody's getting used to it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, actually. Look, there's been some other interesting revelations this week about what went on behind closed royal doors at the time of the Oprah interview. And apparently Kate took quite a firm view about what the family's response should be. Can you run us through that?
Well, certainly, and this is sort of on background. Do you remember when we had the explosive Oprah Winfrey interview with Harry and Meghan? The world was watching at that stage. And we had a bit of a sort of a period where everybody was waiting and watching to see what the royal family would do. How would Buckingham Palace react to that explosive interview? And in that period, just as you say, locked behind royal doors, what were the discussions taking place? And this new book by Valentine Low, indeed the reprint of the paperback, he's come out with some new sort of explosive claims, really, about how that Harry and Meghan were going to be dealt with by, only the Queen. Of course, we had that recollections may vary statement. But of course, who was in those discussions? And it seems as though the Prince and Princess of Wales, as we know them now, were really at the top of the tree when they were trying to work out what would be said. And Kate was the one who said, we must respond robustly to this. History will judge us. And it came across a meeting of minds, and that's how we got that famous statement, recollections may vary, putting Harry and Meghan sort of on the back foot. And I suppose the rest is history, isn't it?
It really is. Now, look, Kate does have a lovely demeanour. She engages very well with the community, patronages, charities and all of that sort of thing. But I feel like she's really starting to grow into that senior leadership role.
Yeah, and I think that this is a sort of that interpretation of her, being steely. There's been an awful lot written about her this week and about her, the character that she's showing. And certainly, she's been in this role for, not only the sort of Duchess of Cambridge, but now into the Princess of Wales role. Now you're talking about a senior leadership role within the family. And that certainly has come to them, by hook or crook, because we've had certain people leaving the royal family as Harry and Meghan. They wanted to be part of this senior leadership roles, but they didn't want to be part of it. So by proxy, we've got the Prince and Princess of Wales have really had to sort of step up to the plate, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that as the years go by.
And Russell, another week, another poll. This time the question is the royal family costing taxpayers too much money? What are the sentiment out there?
Well, again, it's a big week in Royal Land because it was the Royal Finances Week, and every year we pore over the sort of accounting of how much the royal family are costing us rather. And certainly this cost to the taxpayer over £100 million once again. I mean, that is an extraordinary figure. But a lot of people would say that the business that they bring in, the what they do for not only the country but the Commonwealth and the sort of the wider global aspect of their working for their charities really is unquantifiable. But this £100 million figure, the fact that there's, when you break it down, £1 million spent on helicopters, their royal trips, whether it's to Rwanda or to Paris or to Germany, and that costs a lot of money. And so when we're poring over these, do they give us value for money? And it works out about £1.50. It's about $2 per person. And, at that stage, I think that's pretty good value for money.
Yeah, and I was going to say, do you think that adequate regard is given to the wealth they create for the UK economy, what they do by way of that soft sort of diplomacy? I mean, $100 million, and particularly in a cost of living crisis, is an awful lot of money. But there is a lot on the upside, isn't there?
Well, there is, and again, it's difficult to quantify that, isn't it? Because they do the big foreign tours, they work on behalf of the government. I mean, we saw the King and Queen out in Germany during the year. Of course, I think we'll see the Princess of Wales doing more tours, and this sort of global Britain aspect is difficult to quantify. But when you look at those headline figures, £100 million for the second time in 2 years, the second time it's only gone over £100 million, and you look at in a cost of living crisis, do the royals provide value for money? A lot being said about their personal wealth. King Charles worth more than $2 billion. Of course, Prince William's just had a big windfall taking over the Duchy of Cornwall as well. And I think there is time for more discussions about how the royal family sort of give back, but how much wealth that they've got is certainly worth talking about.
Mm. Now, we obviously had a lot to talk about at the coronation in May, but the King and Queen have a separate coronation in Scotland. Can you run us through the proceedings?
Well, indeed, this is going to be on Wednesday. It is the Scottish coronation. Of course, we saw the big one in London very, very recently. And again, this will be a sort of a historic event, really, because there is going to be the opportunity for the King to be presented with honours of Scotland. And when you talk about the fractiousness in the Union here in the UK, it is an important event. And I think that, of course, it will be a bit more slimmed down than the main coronation, but nevertheless, an important historic event that we're going to see on Wednesday, and something that the royal family will certainly be looking forward to. And, if anyone says that we're bored of sort of the pomp and pageantry, well, I would argue against it and say that this is going to be a pretty sparkling event on its own.
On to the Sussexes. Apparently, Meghan is planning a comeback without the support of Harry. Now, that's a hefty claim, Russell. What's going on?
Well, it is. I mean, listen, the Sussexes have come in for a bit of a bruising over the last few weeks, haven't they? The sort of the Spotify deal has been in all sorts of trouble. It has been panned. Would they be taken on again by Netflix? I mean, Netflix are apparently saying that they're happy with the deal, but an awful lot of money has passed through the Sussexes' accounts in recent years. And what does it mean for them? Do they still this tour de force that they tried to create? Do they think that they can still carry that on? I mean, we've had the Oprah Winfrey's program, we've had the Netflix series, and then we had Harry's book. It's been pretty explosive over the last couple of years. But now Harry and Meghan apparently going their own separate ways. Meghan signing to the talent agency WME. I mean, these are the powerhouses of Hollywood. Does she want to get back into sort of the influencer sphere? Will she be writing books, something about wellness? And will Harry go on his different direction to explore different opportunities, maybe documentaries, revisiting Africa, who knows? But I think something is for certain that what the Sussexes have done over the last couple of years has been pretty explosive, and maybe they just need to turn the dial down and work out really what they want to do for their future, because it's been a rough couple of years.
Just on that, because I think that's a very good observation, and this idea of them taking separate opportunities. Do you think that perhaps the Sussex brand, the couple as a whole, is a bit too damaged, and that by them doing separate things, it might be a way of brand rehabilitation?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. Certainly, that Meghan has apparently signed this deal with the talent agency on her own. I think when we were talking about the Sussexes, it was very much about Brand Harry and Meghan, Meghan and Harry. Everybody wanted a piece of them together. Again, you just talk about the Oprah program, the Netflix series, the Spotify deals that were being talked about for big, big money. And now that brand has sort of, been watered down, hasn't it? Because there has been an awful lot of toxicity with their dealings between them and the royal family. What does it mean for them moving forward? And I definitely think that they will want to try and take stock of the last couple of years, maybe take their foot off the gas and work out what their brand means for longevity purposes. And maybe that means, going in separate directions will be the best thing for them.
Now, Princes William and Harry have both made video appearances for the Diana Award. Granted, they're in different countries, but they have both contributed to this. Let's have a look.
Every single one of the young people we are celebrating today have been on their own unique journey, driven by their own passions, perspectives, and life experience. What unites them is their courage, compassion, and a relentless dedication to improving the lives of others.
When someone steps up to be of service, they automatically join this collective. No one is ever a conduit for change alone. Each one of us has the ability to help create a more equitable world, and the brilliant award recipients we're honouring today are proof of that.
This could be a bit of a long shot, Russell, but do you think this could be the beginning of a thawing in this relationship?
Well, it's probably, hopeful thinking, isn't it? I mean, it's great to see them both supporting the Diana Award charity. The charity was set up in their mother's name after her death. And this is, really interesting to see both of them on screen at the same time, isn't it? Because we've had a lot of infighting, the fractiousness between not only the brothers, but between the families as well. And, when you look at the clips of them there, the fact that they used to give interviews together, lark around for the cameras, that seems a very, very long time ago. And I think that certainly there needs to be a bit of a cooling of relations before that happens. And unfortunately, we might just see them at opposite sides of the world for now, because I can't see it happening just yet. But ever the optimist, you never know, Caroline.
Russell Myers, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be chatting with you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, my pleasure.